The shape of a clitoris is different than what many expect. It actually has a head, which has a glands at the tip. Now, this is the part that you would typically see when you're looking at the vulva. So you would maybe separate the labia and you would lift the hood, and that would reveal the glands. So this is a pleasure center. It is jam-packed with nerve endings that are sometimes a little too sensitive to receive direct touch, especially if you're already feeling aroused. Blood will come pumping into this structure, and you will feel a bit of an erection, if you will. This is actually analogous to the penis if you were to, at the embryonic stage, have genes that tell you, no, you are an XY chromosome set. This structure, the clitoris structure, would actually turn into the penis and the testes. So if you've received the XX chromosomes, you likely have a vulva with a clitoris structure that can have a bit of a erection at the glands, and you will feel the bulbs through the vulva. Welcome to the Sexuality Clinic Podcast, designed to help you deepen emotional and physical connections, prioritize your pleasure, and build stronger, more intimate relationships. Hosted by Canadian Clinical Sexologist Roxanna Smallwood. That's me. This show offers a shame-free space for candid, science-backed discussions on sexual health, body literacy, anatomy, self-exploration, and relationships, both solo and partnered. Whether you're seeking to better understand your body, explore your desires, or communicate your sexual needs with confidence, each episode provides actionable tips and expert insights that empower you to take control of your sexual expression. From understanding the nuances of intimacy and pleasure to building healthier, more fulfilling relationships. This podcast is your go-to guide for all things sex and connection. You'll gain practical advice to help you enhance pleasure, strengthen your relationships, and embrace your body and desires without shame. If you're ready to prioritize your pleasure and start building the intimate life you deserve, tune in now and don't forget to download my free checklist, join the waitlist for my online course, or check out my online adult shop at thesexualityclinic.com. Subscribe today and start your journey toward more confident, connected, and pleasurable relationships. All right, so welcome to the Sexuality Clinic Podcast, where we explore pleasure and relationships. I'm your host, Roxanna, clinical sexologist, here to guide you through the candid conversations about intimacy, pleasure, and everything that makes up healthy relationships. I'm so excited to dive into today's episode, where we'll be debunking some major myths around female orgasm and pleasure. There are so many myths out there that can make you feel like you're doing something wrong if you're struggling with orgasm or not experiencing pleasure during sex. So today we're going to separate fact from fiction so you can break free from those misconceptions and embrace your sexuality with confidence. This episode is for anyone who's ever felt confused, frustrated, or even ashamed about their sensuality or sexuality or ability to orgasm. Whether you're just starting to explore your body or you've been sexually active for years, this episode is for you. It also is for partners who want to better understand female pleasure and support their partner's sexual experiences. Basically, if you want to learn more about pleasure and break free from limiting beliefs, you are in the right place. So I'd love to start with a few disclaimers. First of all, orgasm is learned and masturbation is the teacher. This is an important one to keep in mind. We're not born with the innate ability to orgasm and know how to get there and know what we like. This all takes exploration and time. So one of the first keys to exploring your own body is to understand your anatomy. The shape of a clitoris is different than what many expect. It actually has a head, which has a glands at the tip. Now, this is the part that you would typically see when you're looking at the vulva. So you would maybe separate the labia, okay, and you would lift the hood, and that would reveal the glands. So this is a pleasure center. It is jam-packed with nerve endings that are sometimes a little too sensitive to receive direct touch, especially if you're already feeling aroused. Blood will come pumping into this structure, and you will feel a bit of an erection, if you will. This is actually analogous to the penis if you were to, at the embryonic stage, have genes that tell you, no, you are an XY chromosome set. This structure, the clitoris structure, would actually turn into the penis and the testes. If you've received the XX chromosomes, you likely have a vulva with a clitoris structure that can have a bit of a erection at the glands, and you will feel the bulbs through the vulva. Once we explore and figure out what we like, then it's time to find new ways to enjoy this wonderful vessel that you've been gifted. Another piece to keep in mind is that orgasm may not be the goal for your sexual experiences. Sometimes just feeling close and connected with a partner is all that you want or need. Keeping that in mind, there is often this pressure to experience the orgasm, and then there's a feeling of guilt if you haven't. Now, faking is not the answer. Let me make that very clear. Please, for your own enjoyment, do not fake an orgasm. Please work with your partner. Let them know that what you are experiencing is good or bad or whatever it is that you are feeling. Please do not fake your orgasm because that sends the wrong message that what you are experiencing is bringing you to that point of extreme pleasure, and do more of that next time, right? So that sort of gives you the wrong message. You may not want to experience orgasm that time, and you may want to communicate to your partner that, you know what, I just want the pressure off. I want to be free to enjoy myself. And should I desire to orgasm, that's up to me. Take that pressure off. So, feeling connected without that expectation is something that we'd like to give room for and acknowledge in a relationship. It is okay to have a wonderful time at the party and not do what everybody else is doing. It can be quite relaxing and enjoyable to feel connected without that expectation of orgasm. Now, something I hear out there in the media quite often is that orgasm has different types, that there are hundreds of types of orgasms. Now, I am not a believer of this piece of information. What I do believe is that orgasm is an orgasm is an orgasm. Just like a sneeze is a sneeze is a sneeze. You could get a sneeze by having a cold. You could have a sneeze by putting a tissue in your nose. You could get a sneeze from who knows what. Orgasm is similar. You can experience orgasm from different types of stimulation, but ultimately, an orgasm is an orgasm is an orgasm. We do not need to be aiming for different types of orgasms. The idea is that there may be different intensities, and how you bring it upon could have sort of a larger sensation or maybe a less of a sensation. But we don't need to worry about all the different types of orgasms that people claim there are. To be honest, it's a signal that gets sent to your brain from either your nipples or your clitoral area, typically can be from others, but that's pretty standard, because your nipples and your clitoris are innervated to the same area of the brain, and both can signal, okay, send those rushes of pleasure, have that sort of rhythmic motion, and you can experience that genital orgasm from nipple play as well as from vaginal area play. So, and of course, there are others. Sometimes, I mean, I've seen on TLC. Have you seen where people can go around walking through their day experiencing hundreds of orgasms on a regular basis? Now, these are very rare cases, so we're going to stick to the standard sort of female experience when it comes to orgasm. I wanted to focus today on 4 myths. The first myth being, I should already know how to orgasm. That is an absolutely not. We've already just addressed this a little bit, but it's not something you're born knowing how to do. It is a skill, similar to learning a new language or figuring out how to repair your car. You're not going to have success in speaking that new language or repairing your car without some study or practice, right? So the great thing about orgasm, though, is that it's a lot of fun to figure out what you like. It's not like, going to the mechanics class and taking all the notes on how the motors work, etc. You can figure out how your body works through a little bit of anatomical study, sure, and then a little bit of exploration on your own or with a partner. But remember, it does take time, patience, and experimentation. So give yourself some grace as you explore what works for you. Oftentimes, people will tighten up. And I do believe this comes from a point we're going to talk about a little later, which is that sex is often portrayed as sort of male focused. And we think about tightening, we think about the pleasure for the penis. The tightening doesn't necessarily do the female body any services. So perhaps trying different ways of holding your body, bearing down, feeling relaxed, opening up a little. These are all different techniques that you can try to experience orgasm. So let me highlight a couple of items that I like to get people started with when it comes to exploring for themselves. Definitely a water-based lubricant. I like to suggest the Aqua Jelly from Wicked Sensual Care. This is their Simply Timeless collection. I carry this at thesexualityclinic.com. There are a couple of different options. The jelly doesn't run as quickly as the aqua or the flavored passion fruit that I carry on my site. The jelly is great because it provides a little bit of a cushion. It is water-based. You can use this as a bit of a vaginal moisturizer, but starting with something slippery when you're exploring your body and figuring out how to orgasm is key. So having a little bit of slide on the skin. I mean, I know I've talked about this in the past, but if you take one finger straight and take your fist, tighten up that fist as tight as you can and try to penetrate your fist with your finger. You can easily reject your finger. But if you pop a little bit of a lubricant on the opening of your fist, then take your finger, there's no stopping that from entering. So that little bit of slip and slide is going to provide a nice sort of a glide for sensual exploration. You can use your lubricant externally. It does not have to be internal only. You can even spread a little around on the thighs or the lower belly, wherever you'd like it, just to have that bit of a glide. You can also invest in some fun little tools. So, for example, this womanizer blend, or maybe a wand. A wand is a classic. So this is the Calm wand from Dame. I've got here. It's got a pretty firm base and a flexible head. You've got a number of vibration patterns that are available. It's got a really rumbly type of wand experience, testing out different sensations with vibration, with that pleasure air technology. So this womanizer blend uses pleasure air technology externally and an internal piece with optional vibration. So you can turn the vibration off internally. Sometimes people like that feeling of fullness with a toy inserted and a little bit of external play. Or maybe you just want to play with a bit of a massage oil to get your body feeling nice. So there are so many options. I actually offer a pleasure products shop online at thesexualityclinic.com so you can explore what the different options are there. When it comes to the dual action toys, the idea is that the internal piece may stimulate parts of the clitoris or of the G spot internally, while having an external piece stimulating the glands or surrounding area. So having both sides stimulated increases your chances for experiencing orgasm. Internal play, oftentimes, like I'm talking around 80% of people, women, vulva havers, are not experiencing pleasure, or at least not experiencing orgasm from internal stimulation, whether it's with fingers, a toy, a penis. Most of our nerve endings are external, and our anatomy doesn't necessarily lend itself to being uh, pleasured and experiencing orgasm from internal play alone. So, of course, that's not always the case. You can learn which positions work for you. I do recommend that you give yourself grace, give yourself time, Set aside time for exploration and for your own pleasure. Okay. You matter and you deserve pleasure. It's a birthright. That is my long winded answer to myth number one, which was that you should already know how to orgasm. So the answer is no. No, you shouldn't. It is a learned practice, it is a skill. Now, myth number two is that my orgasm should just happen. If you want to orgasm, you actually have to make it happen. It is an active process, it is not passive. Nobody can give you an orgasm. You have to play a part in the process. If you're laying and just wishing for the experience to end, chances are you are not going to orgasm. It's a good thing. The key to orgasm is pleasure. Pleasure is the pathway. You can start by focusing on how your body feels during sex or self exploration. Your orgasm will follow as you ride the waves. Okay. So you're going to play with different sensations, different intensities, play with a partner, play solo. It is not going to happen on its own, and it is certainly not something that someone can hand to you. Here is your orgasm. Okay, so you've got to be an active participant in the process. Again, mindset. Mindset plays a huge role here. Giving yourself that permission, telling yourself that you deserve the pleasure and that doing what feels good to you matters. So, as I mentioned before, maybe that's bearing down. Perhaps you're trying to tighten up for someone else's pleasure. Or maybe you're thinking about whether your partner is enjoying their experience and it is taking you out of your body. There's something in this book called Sexual Intelligence by Dr. Marty Klein where he describes what normal sex looks like. Normal sex is not the kind of sex that we want to be going for. Now I'm using his words. I don't typically like to use the word normal. The way he describes it is things like normal is having sex when you're tired. Normal is worrying about being sexually normal. Normal is not talking about being worried about these things. Normal is feeling emotionally isolated during sex. So surely we can aspire to do better than this. Don't aim for normal. Don't worry if you're normal. Aim for what you enjoy, identify what you enjoy, and communicate that with a partner. Now, I'm assuming that you're wanting to be safe in a nice relationship where you feel supported. So, while it may take practice communicating these things to your partners, it's worth the time and energy. Get through those awkward things, maybe have some shared language. I'll talk more about how to connect with your partner and share intimately and authentically in another episode. Myth number three. Let's carry on here with our myths. It's too late for me to be able to orgasm. So, to be honest, I have encountered clients in their 70s who had yet to experience orgasm. Guess what? They wanted a little toy. I sent one their way, and they were off to the races with a few little tips and tricks about how to experience pleasure with the use of these added tools. Now, I am not saying that a toy is going to replace your partner. Toys can be like power tools where, you're not just going to hire a drill to replace some kind of piece in your home. You would hire a carpenter and they might use a drill as a tool to get the job done faster. So, tools such as sex toys or vibrators or dildos, these can help to get there faster. It can also just help to identify the areas that you like. You do not need to use these all the time, and they are by no means meant to replace anybody. The bottom line is it is never too late to experience orgasm. Your sexual pleasure does not expire. The fear and the societal pressure might tell you otherwise, but there is no age limit. With time, love, and patience, you can explore and discover what brings you to orgasm. It doesn't matter what your age is. Just be sure to keep in mind that your skin in the vaginal area is quite sensitive and thin. And if you don't use it, there may be some atrophy, there may be some dryness, there may be some lack of elasticity in the area. So the trick is to use it, right? Now, there's a toy called the Stronic Petite. I'm going to grab it here. This Stronic Petite is like a pulsator. This has won awards and also has been featured in a study where it showed 15 minutes of use for 30 days, just having it pulsating in the vaginal canal can help to increase your libido, so the interest in sex, and can help with comfort and desire issues. So you can I need to pull up the actual article. Maybe I can put a link to it in the notes for this show. So the Stronic Petite has won awards for women's health in keeping that vaginal area ready to go, keeping the elasticity, helping to promote blood flow to the area. It's basically a little pulsator. It's got magnets inside, boom, 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 boom. It's a different sensation than the vibration that I've talked about previously, but using this for 15 minutes for 30 days has shown really positive effects on vulva owners who wanted to increase their libido and their interest in sexual exploration. The Stronic Petite, it's a fabulous option if you're looking for something new to try. With time, love, and patience, you can explore and discover what brings you orgasm, no matter your age. Which brings us to myth number 4. Something is wrong with me if I'm not experiencing orgasm during sex. That is not true. Nothing is wrong with you. Unfortunately, we live in a world where sexual experiences often prioritize male pleasure. So if you're not enjoying sex, it's not because something is wrong with you. It's because the way you've been taught to have sex may not be prioritizing your pleasure. There are ways to shift this to discover what feels good for you and to make sex a positive, orgasmic experience for you. You deserve pleasure. It is a birthright, and the right approach can change everything. One way that you may want to approach it is with removing the pressure to orgasm. So, letting your partner know that my goal for this experience is not to orgasm. It is to explore different sensations and feel close and connected with my partner. You can also, perhaps, suggest to bring in a couple of goodies. Maybe you could bring in a little buzzing C ring, or maybe you could bring in a vibrating wand or a wearable, insertable toy that can bring a little bit of extra sensation to your experience. Now, there is nothing wrong with having sex and then using a toy after sex to experience orgasm. There's also nothing wrong with not experiencing an orgasm during your sex at all, but play around with the way your body is. Feel the difference between tightening your vaginal muscles and your pelvic floor muscles during sex versus bearing down, kind of like that same as if you're going to give birth. Bearing down like a low noise. You can experience the way that the pelvic floor reacts to making noises like almost a little scream, or oh, that'll open up and allow the pelvic floor to relax. If you make those different tones with your voice, you can feel it in your pelvic floor. And so that idea that you need to be tight and squeezed around your partner's penis may be blocking your experience of pleasure. So allow yourself to experience different tightness or relaxation in different areas of your body and figure out what works for you. So nothing is wrong with you if you don't enjoy sex. What you need to do is talk about sex. So people who talk about sex enjoy their sex a lot more. If you're ready to prioritize your pleasure, head over to my website for a few more resources. You can download my free Ultimate Sexual Wellness Checklist to help you on your journey toward a more fulfilling sex life. While you're there, feel free to browse my shop for some goodies that can enhance your pleasure, whether it's the Wicked Aqua Jelly water-based lubricant, which is designed to make your intimate experiences smoother and more enjoyable, or whether it's something that buzzes or blows air or has a pulsating, or maybe it's just a dildo that has no fancy bells and whistles at all, but it can give you that experience of fullness while you play on the outside. Have a browse. I've got little videos attached to each item so you can better understand which different pleasure products bring what. And then, I want you to just remember that your pleasure matters. It's never too late, and you're never too far behind to explore, to learn, and to grow in your sexual journey. So you deserve a fulfilling, orgasmic experience, one that brings you joy and confidence in your body. Do not give up on your path to pleasure. This is something that is lifelong. You've been gifted this beautiful body. Be sure to take advantage of all of the pleasure it is capable of bringing you. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review the podcast. You can provide reviews on Apple Podcasts. Your support helps us to continue these important conversations, and I'm so grateful to be on this journey with you. So stay confident, stay curious, and always prioritize your pleasure. Until next time, I'm Roxanna, and this is the Sexuality Clinic Podcast, exploring pleasure and relationships. See you next time.